Today's story is insane. I put up some driveway security, and Karen went straight to 911. But here's the thing, the police found something way worse at her house. So let me give you guys some quick background. I've been living in Oak Ridge Estates for about 2 years now, beautiful neighborhood, amazing neighbors, well, except for one. Meet Nancy, our HOA board's vice president, who somehow thinks her position gives her the right to use everyone's property as her personal shortcut. Here's the thing, my driveway connects to this little private road that saves about 2 minutes to get to the main street. And Nancy? She'd been treating my driveway like her own personal expressway. Every single day. Multiple times. Morning, afternoon, evening, you name it. I'd be trying to pull out of my garage, and there she is, zooming through like she owns the place. And trust me, I tried doing this the right way. First, I politely asked her to stop. Then I sent emails, I have them all documented. I even filed 3 formal complaints with the HOA board. But guess what? When you're complaining about someone on the board? Yeah, those complaints mysteriously got lost in the system. The final straw? She started telling other board members that my driveway was actually a community access point. Like, excuse me? I have the property documents right here. But guys, it gets worse. After calling my driveway a community access point, Nancy took her harassment to a whole new level. She started documenting my every move, and I mean every move. Taking pictures of my house at random times, leaving bright orange violation notices for the most ridiculous things. Your grass is 2.1 inches tall, regulation says 2 inches. Like, seriously? I documented everything. Every time she drove through, every nasty note, every fake violation. I even set up my Ring doorbell to catch her in action. In just 1 week, she crossed my driveway 23 times. 23. I sent certified letters to her and the HOA board, warning them about liability issues. You know what she said? I'm the vice president, these rules don't apply to me. That's when I knew I had to do something more. I spent weeks researching legal options to protect my property. Talked to lawyers, checked county regulations, even called the city planning office. Turns out, retractable driveway spikes are completely legal in our county as long as they're properly marked and only activated on private property. So last weekend, I had them installed. Professional company, all the proper permits, warning signs everywhere, I did everything by the book. The spikes are only up when I activate them with a remote, and there's even a warning light that flashes before they rise. I mean, you'd have to be really determined to miss all those warnings. Little did I know, this completely legal security measure was about to expose something way bigger than just Karen's driveway drama. Okay guys, let me tell you about that morning. It was just a regular Tuesday, around 7 a.m. I was having my morning coffee when I heard it, screeching tires followed by the most dramatic screaming I've ever heard in my life. I rushed to my window, and there she was, Nancy, in her white SUV, standing next to her car, phone in hand, doing her best performance yet. The spikes weren't even up. She just saw them in the ground and completely lost it. Let me tell you exactly what she screamed into her phone to 911, and I'm not exaggerating, because my security camera caught every word. Yes, operator. I'm at 4287 Oak Ridge Drive. This homeowner has installed deadly weapons in her driveway. This is attempted murder. Send police now. She's trying to destroy my car. I'm the HOA vice president, this is illegal. By this point, everyone on the street was coming out of their houses. Mrs. Johnson was still in her robe, Mr. Pete was holding his morning toast, I mean, the whole neighborhood was getting a free show. Some neighbors even started recording on their phones. I heard someone say, finally, someone stood up to her. And guys, the best part? While Nancy was having her meltdown, my next-door neighbor Tony, who's actually a real estate lawyer, walks over and just starts casually reading the warning signs out loud. Private property. No trespassing. Security system in use. The look on Karen's face when she realized there were witnesses? Priceless. This was just the beginning. Because when the police showed up, that's when things got really interesting. 3 police cars pulled up with their lights flashing, like they were responding to some major crime. And there's Nancy, practically running to the first officer, pointing at my driveway like she's found evidence of a conspiracy. You should have seen her performance for the police, tears and everything. Officer, she's trying to destroy my car. I'm the HOA vice president, and this is a community access road. She was waving her HOA badge around like it was some kind of official government ID. One officer was trying to calm her down while she's going on and on about her authority and jurisdiction. That's when I walked out, cool as a cucumber, with my folder of documents. You see, I'd prepared for this moment. I had everything: my property deed, the county regulations about driveway security systems, the installation permits, even a video compilation from my security cameras showing Nancy using my driveway as her personal shortcut 23 times in just 1 week. The officers were super professional about it all. Officer Rodriguez, I remember his name because he handled everything so well, started reviewing my documents. He was nodding along, asking relevant questions about the security system, and I could see Nancy getting more and more nervous with each passing minute. But here's where it gets really interesting. While one officer was checking my paperwork, Officer Thompson noticed something strange on Nancy's side of the fence. He squinted, looked closer, and asked, "Ma'am, what's that device pointed at this driveway?" Y'all, the look on Nancy's face. She went from dramatic victim to deer in headlights in about half a second. Because mounted on her fence, partially hidden behind a bush, was a small black camera, pointed directly at my property. But that wasn't the only one they found. Oh no, this is where our little driveway drama turned into something much bigger. So remember that first camera Officer Thompson spotted? Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. As soon as he started looking more closely at Nancy's setup, things got wild. The officers began a proper inspection of the area. What they found was insane. First, they found 2 more cameras hidden in her decorative birdhouses, you know, the ones she insisted on putting up right next to my property line last summer. Now it all made sense. Then, they discovered one actually attached to my tree. Can you believe it? She had installed it during her so-called neighborhood beautification project. In total, the officers found 7 different surveillance cameras. 7. 3 of them were actually on my property, 2 pointing directly into my backyard, and 2 more aimed at my front door and garage. All of them connected to some fancy recording system in her house. You should have seen Nancy's face when the officers confronted her about this. First, she tried saying it was HOA security equipment. Then she claimed it was for everyone's protection. But the best part? When Officer Rodriguez asked to see the HOA approval documentation for the cameras, she started stuttering and said, "Get this, I don't need approval, I am the approval." The officers weren't buying any of it. Turns out, not only were the cameras illegal because they were on private property without permission, but in our county, you need special permits for any surveillance system that records other people's private property. And guess who didn't have those permits? Now this is where everything comes full circle, guys. The police gave Nancy exactly 1 hour to remove all the cameras, and they stood there watching to make sure she did it. You should have seen her climbing up her little stepladder, ace red as a tomato, taking down each camera while the whole neighborhood watched. But that was just the beginning of her bad day. The officers filed an official report about the illegal surveillance, and guess who got a copy? The HOA board. Turns out, the other board members had no idea about Nancy's little spy network. They called an emergency meeting right there that weekend. During the meeting, we discovered that Nancy had been using these cameras to monitor multiple households, gathering evidence for her random violation notices. The board was horrified. They voted unanimously to remove her from her position. Effective immediately. The best part? They implemented new policies requiring all HOA board members to submit written documentation for any violation claims. And my driveway spikes that started this whole thing? The board reviewed them and guess what? Completely approved. They even used my security system as an example of proper protocol, since I had all the right permits and documentation. Oh, and remember all those violation notices Nancy gave me about my grass being too tall? The board dismissed every single one. They even sent out a formal apology letter to everyone who'd received questionable violations from Nancy in the past year. Now when I activate my driveway spikes, Nancy takes the long way around, just like everyone else. Sometimes karma works in mysterious ways, but this time? It was crystal clear. So guys, life in our neighborhood has been totally different since that crazy day. You know what's funny? My driveway security system that caused all this drama has actually become the neighborhood's favorite conversation piece. People stop by just to see it in action. I even caught some kids calling it the Karen Stopper 3000. The support from my neighbors has been absolutely amazing. Mrs. Johnson next door baked me a thank you cake. Apparently Nancy had 7 different cameras pointed at her garden too. The whole community has gotten so much closer. We even started a monthly neighborhood meeting where people can bring up their concerns without fear of getting random violation notices. But here's the biggest lesson I learned from all this, and I hope you guys take this away too: always document everything. Keep your receipts, take pictures, save emails. If I hadn't kept all my paperwork and video evidence, this story might have ended very differently. And you know what else? Sometimes standing up for yourself might seem scary, especially when dealing with someone in authority, but doing it the right way, legally and with proper documentation, that's how you win. If you guys have any crazy HOA stories of your own, drop them in the comments below. I want to hear if any of you have dealt with something like this. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more stories. Trust me, with the characters in my neighborhood, there's plenty more where this came from. And remember guys, karma might take its time, but when it hits hard. See you in the next video.